Hi guys, happy Tuesday. I've been meaning to start this vlog thing for a while. The truth is my therapist told me I should start it, and there's no shame in my game. I love my therapist. If you don't have one, you should get one because they're awesome. But I'm not here to talk about me today. I'm here to talk about the lack of resources for homeschooling disabled children, and the lack of not just homeschooling, but the lack of resources and the lack of support for parents of disabled children, parents of autistic children, and this whole overreaching idea that society tells parents that they are not capable of taking care of and supporting their disabled children. I'm going to tell you that's a big fat lie. You are capable. You can support your child. You can love your child. You can give them what they need. You don't need 50 therapists breathing down your neck telling you what you need. And now listen, I don't dislike, occupational therapists, speech therapists, etc. I think they can have their place in society. I think they can have their place in supporting your disabled child. But I don't think that a parent is incapable of providing what their disabled child needs to thrive in this world. I don't think that that's the truth. I think that as parents, we're told that only professionals know what to do. But I think if you're willing to, one, pay attention, listen to your child, watch them, listen to what they need, observe their body language, you can learn so much about what their needs are. And then research, read, pay attention, especially listening to autistic adults, listening to disabled adults, reading their stories and reading about what was successful for them and what they felt they needed. Because that can give you a lot of insight if you don't feel that you truly understand your child's needs and you're not really sure how to best support their needs. That information, those ideas are out there. Now you as the parent, you have the opportunity to look at your child, look at their behavior and everything that they're doing and say, okay, this is what my child needs. I see my child dislikes this kind of sound. I see my child makes rushed decisions. I see my child, doesn't like this food. My child does better at 9 a.m. versus 7 a.m., whatever it is. The most important thing you can do is listen, observe. Like when you look at your child, what are they doing? What happens when certain things happen? Write it down. Like, what does your child need? Start from there. Observe them, see what they need. So, I'll be honest because that's how I am. I was a little afraid at first when it came to the idea of homeschooling my son. He is amazing. He is, sorry, I get emotional because he is such a gift to me. He's almost 7.5 years old, and unfortunately, there have been professionals who told me that I should have low expectations of him. And that's not true. That's a lie. And I'm sure you, other parents, have been told to have low expectations of your child. That's a lie. Your child's future is not written. My child's future is not written. My own future is not written. I'm 37 years old. I don't know what I'm gonna be like at 65, whatever. My future's not written. My child's future is certainly not written. His future wasn't written at 4.5 years old when a diagnostician told me that I should be looking up homes for him once he got out of school. I was angry. I'm still angry about it. I'm probably going to be angry about it forever. But nobody can tell you what your child's future holds because they do not know. So all that being set aside, so here's some things I know about my child. My child doesn't speak for the most part. He has some words. He is really good at repeating words, echolalia. He can say words and numbers, etc. when he sees them in print. But for the most part, he doesn't have spontaneous speech. He's also physically disabled. So he has hypotonia, which is low muscle tone, which is not an uncommon comorbid with autism. But he has it, pretty strongly in his hands. And so at this point, he's still working on writing skills, being able to have that finger control. And that's all fine. Like, I don't care. That's fine. It's whatever. But obviously, it gives us some challenges in him being able to demonstrate the knowledge he has in his head. Now, I have always spoken to him like he was going to respond to me and speak back, always, since he was young. I've always just seen his future, his possibility in his eyes. When I look at him and I connect with him, I see the fire and the passion that is in him. And I don't care what anyone told me. I know that it's there. You can tell me he's green and has 3 horns, but I know that's not true because I know him. I choose to believe in his competence. I choose competence always, and so should you. So it's always better to err on the side of assuming competence, and you can always go back and then work up those skills versus assuming he doesn't know. Unfortunately, when he was still in public school, I had to fight with the IEPs and fight with, the educators. And they were all very nice, and, they said nice things and, blah, blah, typical crap. But I had to prove to them that he knew things. I knew he knew these things. He showed me in his way that he knew these things. But these educators who were so hyper-focused on him proving what he knew in a typical way, they tried to assume that he didn't know these things. Like, even though he knew his numbers, he knew his alphabet, all that really basic stuff, his sister was able to prove that really early, but she can speak, and she's been able to speak for a long time. He doesn't speak, so obviously, with so many people focused on speech as a litmus test, it makes it a lot harder for people to see what he's capable of. So, I was always going to war with the IEPs and the public school and being like, he knows this. Like, he's bored. He knows that basic stuff. Why do you keep pushing him on this stuff just because he's not displaying his knowledge in the way that you think he should? Like what they say, the quote is, insanity, even though that's ableist, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. But people do that with disabled children all the time. They push disabled children to do the same thing over and over and over again, and they're not happy until the disabled child does exactly what they want. But that's not fair, because just like we have all these different languages on the planet, a disabled child, a non-speaking autistic child, they have their own language. They're not wrong in needing to communicate in a way that's different from you and I, or, Joe and Betty and whatever. But, at school, he was just constantly pushed to communicate in a single way, or, a couple single ways, to prove to them that he had mastered that task. And, I fought for him because I knew he knew more, and I knew he was bored, and I knew it was unfair to him. Excuse me. This is real life. I'm not re-recording this, by the way, so this is a one-take kind of thing because that's who I am. But anyway, so, I'm homeschooling now because of the pandemic situation, and knowing that my son is not comfortable wearing a mask because of his disabilities and his sensory sensitivities. I chose to keep him home and officially withdraw him from school. And I just dove in and I said, I am going to make this work because I believe in his capabilities, and I know that he is capable past his disabilities. His disabilities exist. There's nothing wrong with his disabilities, nothing wrong with autism, nothing wrong with physical disabilities, but it just means I have to find ways to make it work. So there's a few things that I've been doing. One, I've been using a lot of hands-on manipulatives, which is like printed cards with numbers on them that we can use on a whiteboard to answer math problems. I have printed shapes. I have printed, words that we can work. We have, magnetic letters. So we have a lot of hands-on things that don't require writing or speaking, but allow him to contribute his knowledge. So, I'm still working on building a curriculum for my son that enables him to work on the level that he's on without him being bored, and, that enables him to communicate without needing words and without needing writing. So, I'm doing my research, and there's a lot of wonderful homeschooling resources out there. And I'm really thankful for that. I've used them a lot. My daughter, she's 9, almost 10, and she does write, she does talk, and so I've been able to use so many of those resources for her. But when I look for specifically accessible homeschool resources, disability homeschool resources, even autism homeschool resources, none of those resources, they don't either exist or they aren't a fit for my child. My child, again, he has certain disabilities, and he can't write, he can't talk. So then I'm looking around and I'm looking at the lack of resources for him, and I go, this is why other parents feel like they can't help their children, because the resources aren't out there. Because when you're in these meetings with these professionals, they may send you home with a worksheet that's like, here's some, wash your hands, or whatever it is, but you're not truly educated as a parent on how to educate your disabled child. It's so frustrating, because I feel like, and I know I actually have been, I've had these professionals literally interrupt me, tell me I was wrong, tell me that my son couldn't possibly know the things I was telling them he knew, and that he wasn't going to amount to anything. I truly had people say that to me, and that's wrong. That's abusive, quite frankly. It's not only abusive to me, but more importantly, it's abusive to my child. If you were to go to an adult and tell them you will never amount to anything and I have your future all planned out for you, that wouldn't be cool, right? Like, why is it okay to tell that to a child? It's not okay to assume that what's going to happen in the future for your child. So all this rambling aside, I am committed. I'm going to work on creating a curriculum that is truly disability accessible, disability friendly. It is, for children who may not be able to speak, for children who may not be able to write, and children like my son are both at the moment. And it's going to be, higher level work than just pre-K and kinder, where most typical children are still working on those kind of skills. Because once you get past that grade level, there's really nothing available to, support parents who want to educate their kids, who know that their disabled kids are not getting the education that they should be getting in public school. Now, I'm not faulting teachers. I liked my son's teacher a lot. She was a really nice lady. But the truth is that the education and the parameters of what's being taught about disabled education is limited. And there's more out there. You're capable. I'm capable. All it takes is putting in a little work. But it's really not more work than you would put for another child, in my opinion. It's just different. Like, the goals are just different. So I find resources that my child with disabilities can use. Then I find resources for my daughter who has her own disabilities and challenges, but different, that she can use. So all you have to do is pay attention. Pay attention to your kids. Write it down. Say, what challenge do we collectively want to bridge? Like, so my child has this untapped knowledge. My child has boundless possibilities. What can I do to support that knowledge, to open the door for them? Not to train them or change them, but to give them opportunity, to show them that you believe in them and that you know that being disabled, being autistic, being ADHD, whatever, doesn't limit their possibility. They just need the right kind of accommodations. So I just need to rant a little bit, and I have a lot of things that I want to say, and I will say them later. But for now, if you got this far, I thank you and have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.